It was a very sophisticated culture. There were, the whole ability to develop high civilization that was organized around the ability to produce large amounts of foodstuff sufficient to sustain large populations. So their agriculture was very advanced and produced enough sustenance to allow cities as large as Copan to exist. Copan had a population of 25 to 30,000 people in the 8th century. So it was a large, thriving metropolis with extensive exchange networks going all the way to Mexico and into central Honduras also. We find objects that reflect trade from the Atlantic as well as the Pacific Ocean. So large networks of exchange and trade, which produced, I think, enough wealth to permit the development of a sophisticated rulership like they had.
600 years later, amongst the first Europeans to set eyes upon what today is known as Honduras was none other than Christopher Columbus. At this point in the voyage, Columbus was looking for a strait that would allow him access to what he believed would be the Indian Ocean. As part of their fourth voyage to the New World, Columbus's fleet landed in the island of Guanaja, today part of the Honduran Bay Islands, in July 1502. 70 years later, in 1576, the Spanish surveyor Diego Garcia del Palacio wrote a haunting description of the remains of the Mayan city in a report to the King of Spain, Felipe II. However, no effort to explore or study the ruins was made. For centuries, the Maya created thousands of books made of bark and covered with hieroglyphs. They are the key to understand the Maya writing.
One of the big highlights of Maya civilization was their ability to write. They had a completely, fully developed writing system, which allows us to know more about them than many other civilizations in the entire American continent. The Incas were enormously sophisticated, but we know very little of them because we don't have any of their writings. The same, the Aztecs, we have a lot of documentation because of the presence of the Spaniards too, and because we do have some of their books. But the Maya books, yes, were burned by the Spaniards during the conquest period. It's very clearly documented how it happened because they were thought to contain the works of the devil, and therefore they were burned.
Fortunately, the Maya wrote on other surfaces that couldn't be burned. Today, 4 of the Maya books or codices escaped from that time. One of those books leads to the first major breakthrough in deciphering Maya writing and understanding the Maya's reverence for time. On November 17, 1839, in the jungles of Honduras, 2 explorers, American John Lloyd Stevens and Englishman Frederick Catherwood, in a small expedition to Central America, made an incredible discovery. They found the ancient Maya city of Copan, draped with thousands of years of tropical growth. They cleared the vegetation to reveal enormous pyramidal structures, some deeply etched with mysterious designs carved on sculptures. They illustrated the exotic world of Copan by Catherwood. He was able to bring Copan back to life through his painting of temples and monuments as they lay partially trapped by the jungle. Their best-selling book, Incidents of Travel in Central America, captivates the public attention with stories of a lost civilization.
And it was published in the 1850s, at which time really it caught the attention of both the audience in the United States and in Europe.
They explored from Mexico to Honduras. They were able to discover 44 Maya cities, remains of a culture that flourished for more than 700 years, from roughly 200 to 900 of the Common Era.
And after that came the first archaeological excavations, beginning in the 1890s and continuing on to the beginnings of the 1900s. From then on, work at Copan has been relatively continuous through time of different groups and expeditions.
If we put it in our cultural terms, Tikal was like New York and Copan was like Paris. The effort was continued by the Instituto Hondureño de Antropología e Historia, Honduran Institute of Anthropology and History. A project involving American and Honduran archaeologists named Proyecto Arqueológico Copan was started in 1977 and carries on to this day.